Good afternoon, Dallas College, Richland campus. Welcome back. It's the return of the Philosophy Club, the Dallas College Philosophy Club. Oh boy, it's such a special moment. I mean, gosh, I've been out of the studio for I've been living here for the last 2 years, but it's the first time I've been actually using the recording devices and getting back in the saddle. So for those of you who hung with the Philosophy Club, for the last year and a half or so, we met every week over the summer. We were doing Zoom meetings, WebEx meetings, Teams meetings eventually. So here we are back where it all started, folks. K-Duck Studios. We got Captain Jack Fletcher behind the engineering seat back there, and everything's going to go smoothly. I requested to I wanted to kind of do this first meeting alone. I wanted a monologue, but unfortunately that didn't happen. Joking, of course. I'm joking, folks. They look scared. See, I don't know these students except for Tiffany, so this is going to be fun. So typically what we do, folks, is in the Philosophy Club Radio Hour, we recap the previous Philosophy Club meeting. We talk about the topic. We talk about where the conversation went, where it could have gone but didn't. And then, of course, we anticipate next week's topic and talk about where the conversation might go. Having said that, we did not meet yet. So we're actually doing a radio show before we've had an official meeting. However, there are things to discuss, such as when I got my welding degree. Thank you, folks. There are things to discuss, such as student life back on campus, any experiences you might have had with the Student Life Club Fair. So kind of like Club Recruitment Week, which happened last week, Tuesday and Wednesday. The Philosophy Club was represented by myself and Professor Ulrich to my right. And then, of course, we could talk about what the topic should be. We could talk about what we're going to talk about on Wednesday. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give some introductions, but before I do that, just one more shameless plug for the Philosophy Club. We're going to meet every Wednesday at 1 p.m., Netchie's Hall, room 133. So again, if you don't know Netchie's, it's kind of like the basement of Netchie's is El Paso, and you kind of go up those stairs. It's right before Thunderduck. You know where to find us. That's where we'll be. And of course, every Monday we'll be right here at 1 p.m. radioing. All right, so having said that, let's make some introductions. I am Professor Manzi. I am the faculty co-advisor of the Dallas College Philosophy Club. And once again, yes, we're meeting physically on Richland campus, but if you'd rather attend digitally, you're free to do that through the Teams page. We'll be doing both simultaneously during our meetings. All right, we'll save you for last there, Luke. Let's take it over to the students. Let's go down to Mike, what is that, 4? Mike 3. Yeah, feel free to introduce yourself. Say, what you're studying, maybe any other clubs you're affiliated in, anything you want to plug, good sandwich shop, whatever.
Well, thank you. My name is Aaron Uwagbai. I'm one of the students here. This is my junior year here at Richland campus. I'm studying business administration. I'm actually part of this group right now, web radio and TV studio. I met Jack. I want to say a couple weeks ago, and he brought me right in. But I'm happy to be here, and I want to see where it's going to take us, and just have a good time, learn, grow, and keep it going.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to have you. Oh yeah, who's next?
My name is Israel, and I'm finishing up my associates. It's been about a couple years since I was in college, right? So this is like starting again, pretty much. And this is my first time doing a radio show of any kind, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking, to be honest.
Hey, it's going to seem like it's mine, too. So welcome. Who else we got?
Hello, my name is Kelson Canoe. I went to school at UNT for a while, partied a little bit too much, dropped out. and now I'm a freshman at Richland. I want to become a data security analyst, and I'm with the Amazon Career Choice program, so they help like pay for 95% of my schools,
That's awesome.
which is like super cool. I love sports. Go football.
Yeah. Right on.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Murphy, and I'm actually a senior over at TWU. But I love the Dallas College system so much that I'm just taking a bunch of classes for fun. And I'm studying art and literature and considering law school, so fun times.
All right, welcome, Tiffany. Yeah, Tiffany's taking, auditing my class this semester. Then who do we got to my right? Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in the history of the Philosophy Club at Richland, I'm introducing a co-advisor. Yeah, you know, here I am, Professor Manzi. I'm in demand. What can I say? I'm the advisor for Phi Theta Kappa. I'm the advisor for the HSO, Honor Student Organization, and of course my baby, the Philosophy Club. But you know, my focus is a little divided, so I decided to enlist a colleague. Most people don't know this. He's actually my adopted son. His name is Lucas Ulrich. Feel free to introduce yourself, Professor Ulrich.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm Professor Ulrich, and there we go. I am an adjunct professor here, and actually, I have all of my students who are in this room. I've had each one of them in my classroom at some period of time, so it should be a fun time today.
Yeah, and thanks Luke for bringing the students. Appreciate that. All right, so yeah, here's how we typically get started. Again, we reflect on the previous meeting, but since there wasn't one, let me ask y'all, and just a general question. This goes out to the students. What's it like being back on campus, especially for the extracurriculars? Is it overwhelming? Are you happy that it's here? What are your general impressions? And if you happen to have made it to either of the days we hosted the Student Life Club Fair, how'd that hit you?
So I'll go first. This is Aaron speaking. I honestly, me personally, I'm super glad that campus is open back up. Last year, I had plans to take 5 classes. I'm not a big fan of online school. Not that I'm against it, but I can't learn that way. So I'm excited to be back on campus. One of the things that I've noticed, and as expected, realistically speaking, is the fact that I've noticed, not necessarily with professors, but with students, I've noticed that most students now, compared to the prior years before COVID, after COVID, most students haven't necessarily adjusted back into more of a social life, social campus. A couple times, I have a couple examples, but I'll just use one. I spoke to a young lady just passing by her in the hallway. It was something relevant to class, and I knew what was going on, but I made eye contact with her and asked her a question. Her eyes immediately shuddered to the right, and she answered it very quickly and left very quickly. Not in the sense of you're annoying me, but in the sense of I don't know how to converse.
Yeah, it was an
back and
overwhelming.
forth. Yeah, so as expected, so that's what I've noticed.
All right, no, that's a great observation. I've noticed the same myself. And again, I think it's a little different. Maybe students aren't used to speaking to professors face-to-face for the first time in a while. But I'm surprised to hear that when it comes to just, other peers, other students. Huh. Has anybody else kind of felt the way that maybe that young lady felt, where it's just like, every human interaction is going to be like, I don't know, something of an ordeal, where I have to really just, concert my efforts to say hi to somebody and greet somebody and keep up the small talk chit chat, and then as soon as it's over, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go back to my apartment and be by myself.
Yeah, I relate to that a bit.
Okay.
Before I applied here, I was debating whether or not doing online classes or in campus, right? I thought doing it in campus after a year of just being indoors, right? Through the lockdown and everything, right?
Yeah.
Would be some good for me, being around people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my reasoning to come to campus. Just not just just the education, but just the social aspect of just being around people and talking to people.
I like to hear that.
Smart.
Yeah.
And
yes, please.
And I like to add a point. It's kind of selfish, but like you do curls for the girls. If there's no girls, there's no reason to do curls.
And no lie.
Yeah,
I've never heard that.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a matter of keeping up appearances, so to speak. And if there's no sort of public audience, then why keep up appearances?
Exactly.
That's why I put on 57 pounds. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Well, Luke, let me ask you, as a professor, is it strange because so Luke actually, or Professor Ulrich, he taught over the summer as well, so it's not as though the teaching stopped entirely, but it was of a different beast.
It was kind of different. By the way, the last point, curls for the girls. What a great topic of presenting ourselves and how we relate even our own bodies to the social realm, and how we connect to everybody socially. As for teaching, I asked my students over the summer why they were in my class, and every single student really said the same thing: is they do not like online learning. And that means that they are very social creatures, which means that at least my class over the summer was very similar to my normal classes. But I will say now that more students are coming back, you do see a reluctance to engage, and I think it's going to take a while for students to relearn how to connect as a social group and kind of as a group, as a class.
Yeah, I like how you say relearn and not remember, because because it's different now. You have an obstacle over your face. I know that's difficult with breathing. I have asthma, so I typically don't use these cloth masks because, again, it's tough for me to breathe and talk for an hour and 20 minutes straight back to back. So yeah, it is like it's learning something new. Again, if that makes sense. You learn how to talk in class before, and now you got to do it again under different circumstances, under different conditions. Yeah. Okay. So I bring that up for the following reason. I was really heartened, and Luke, you could speak on this because you were there too. I was really heartened by the feedback I was saying at the campus students club fair, because you never really know how that's going to go in general, much less after such a long layoff on campus. But I mean, the alleyways there were clogged. I know the philosophy club, humble brag, we got over 2 full pages of new students interested in checking us out. And it was just nice to see students interested in anything on campus extracurricular. To your point, Luke, it kind of reminds me, you might not have known you've missed it until you're back and you remember, oh yeah, this is how it once was. Or maybe if you never experienced it, this is what I had been looking forward to. And so I hope that enthusiasm isn't just, a burst because it's kind of new again. I hope that it sort of continues to crest, continues to crescendo in such a way where by the time we're hitting December, we're going to have student life like it once was, again, just teeming. Tons of interactions, tons of events, just tons of life.
Can I add something?
No. Moving
Okay.
forward. No, of course you can. Of course you can. Yeah, please.
So,
Tiffany.
no, I'm with Aaron on this. I do not do well in online classes, and especially as a fine arts student, it's so important to be in studio with other people and observing what other people are doing, and it really, like, the creativity builds and feeds on itself, and you don't have that at home. It's such a different beast, and I did not do well online. And being back, it feels weird, and then it also, there's another layer. It feels weird that it's weird, This has been normal for so long, and now that we're having to, observe all these different precautions and having to, and because we've been out for so long, it's just such a bizarre feeling of, we're trying to get back to normal, but that alone feels bizarre. So,
Yeah. And again, I think that goes for professors and students alike. Just people, you might say. Excuse you, Luke. So I guess something else to consider, again,
Be clean.
keeping in mind,
Cassie.
I'm cleaning myself. Keeping in mind, again, we're going to have our kind of inaugural academic year meeting on Wednesday. Maybe this might be a good source to consider what the opening topic should be. Because it sounds like y'all, you have some thoughts on this stuff. Obviously, you're experiencing it. And that's the cool thing about philosophy is that when we pick these topics from week to week, they don't have to be like these big, universal, abstract concepts like, let's do justice, and then let's do evil. I mean, we could do that, but we could even, break it down to the more concrete because, you can derive philosophy from literally anything. There's a philosophy to or a philosophy of everything. So, I mean, what do y'all think? Is this maybe a little too on the nose? Maybe the first topic for Wednesday could be just something like re-immersion or re-emergence or something like that.
Or the importance of social interaction to our identities, to our, how we experience the world. Because it was definitely different for a while there. And it just for me personally, it made me realize how important it is to be a 3D person among the living. And and how that affects my worldview and how I function.
All right. Awesome. I mean, yeah, 'cause I'll turn it over to y'all. The remaining students there. I mean, typically when I think of first topic for Philosophy Club, I think of something that, again, students already have a decently strong opinion on because, they have experience with it. So something like maybe friendship, for example, is like a common opening day topic where it's like, what is friendship? What makes a real friend? And the philosophers throughout the ages have spoken on it, written on it. So there's a lot to draw from. And, of course, there's a lot to draw from your own personal experience. But I wonder if there's something kind of ironic about saying, hey, now that we're all together, the first topic, let's talk about philosophy of isolation. You know what I mean? It's kind of, but maybe it's apropos. I don't know. Is there anything that y'all would like to talk about on Wednesday? Assuming you're going to be there, and I assume you're going to be there with food and stuff like that for me.
One of the things I love is, being spontaneous. I love the thrill of not necessarily knowing what's going to happen, but when it does manifest itself, it's so gorgeous, especially if it's something that riles all of our engines in a good way, not in the bad way. So I love that. But to answer the question, friendship is a very important topic, especially today with present day generation, those born in 90 to about 05. It's very important because if we look at the friendships from the parents of those that are born between that period that I just mentioned, their friendships they don't compare to friendships of today's time. You can argue that it deals with how the parents of yesterday were brought up, but I can recall certain situations when I was younger where, I'll leave out most of the details, but my parents would be in a certain situation, and my mother or father would call on a relative or a coworker, and within a drop of a dime, that coworker, relative, whatever, they're there, right? And it's not one of those coworkers or family members that you see once a year. It's people that you see regularly. They come over to the house, you see them at possibly church, the store, et cetera, because they believed in kinship and the positives of a fellowship, and they generally wanted the best interests of one another. I guess you can say that's a generation that used to leave their front doors open because they knew their neighbor, right?
Yeah.
So it's a blessing. I think friendship is very important, especially today, for us to adhere to.
Yeah.
Good point. And to elaborate on that, I think in Jordan Peterson's book 12 Rules for Life, he has a very important rule of friendship. Don't be friends with anyone you're not willing to bring up to your mom. You're not willing to talk. You're not. The rule is don't be friends with anyone who you wouldn't suggest them being friends with someone you like. Like if you know that person has immoral character, you don't believe with their choices, would you associate them with someone who you really care about? And if the answer is no, then you have to think about yourself as that's someone that you care about. Because I believe, nowadays, it's been true throughout the history of time that friends can get us into really bad situations. Really I don't know if you can probably speak about this, but I'm from the hood. I came from Africa and I came here very, very young, one mom and 6 kids. So I just witnessed how people you call your friends can lead you to places that can be heinous, that can and can lead you to behave in ways that your mom wouldn't be proud of. So I believe friendship is important, but I believe having a pillar, having a foundation is way more important. Because I believe at the end of the day, not to sound kind of mean, for lack of better words, but you have no friends. The only friend that you have is
Correct.
your future self and your past self. And every day you have to work towards building a better future self, so that way you can leave a better past, you can leave a better legacy, you can leave a better foundation for your kids.
Correct. I don't see any faults in.
Hey, wait, real quick, your mic was off. Could you repeat that?
Start over.
Oh, I quit.
I like what
Can you
Kelson
imagine?
said, though.
But
Thank you, Tiffany.
back to your point, I mean, it's 100% the case, and I can see that being of two reasons. One, most of us, unfortunately, if they sit down with counselors, psychologists, or a leader that they really trust, someone that they have a very good bond with, they can trust sensitive information with, that person, because they want the best for whomever they're speaking with, will tell you, young man or young woman, you're not necessarily on your path and purpose. It's only when you're truly on your path and purpose, when you're in a better state of mind to where you understand yourself, understand who you are, and how to get from point A to point B, then you will begin to internally go through the process of weeding out, this is real, this is not real, this is positive, this is negative. That's one of the big problems now, because going back with fake friends, it's very much the case, and I attribute that with the bubble that we surround ourselves in. We try to force ourselves we try to convince ourselves that this is reality. I'm going to believe it. I don't want to have to fess up to the monkey that's on my back, even though he's there for a reason. Let me just ignore it. It'll work out. And when you do that, you're, for lack of better words, you're defeating yourself before even giving yourself a chance.
Amen.
And I think that's extremely important. Like, for example, Kelson here. I mean, I've spoken to him, not to put him on the spot, but I've spoken to him outside of school, right? Because I understand that this is something I internalized, and if I don't do this now, it's not going to get easier tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Do it now. It sucks because you want to have fun, but there's a time and a place.
Exactly.
And more to your point, you talked about having a counselor. Friends have so much more influence on our lives than a counselor or, somebody we look up to. For example, I mean, I was in band in high school, and if I hadn't been around those people, I would never have gone to college.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have happened because of my conditions, and I grew up in poverty, and my parents never, pushed that or led the way in that way. But the friends I had did. And then also what you talked about the social, like the when people were born. So I'm not from the 90s. I was born in the 80s. So I've seen it shift.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been wild to watch because all the relationships seem to be online now, but what is real,
Mm-hmm.
How real are those relationships or friendships?
And
So-
I want to add to your point, and I think this is one of the reasons why some younger people, I say young, you're not young, but people born within that bubble, for the most part, feel some type of way when they get critiquement from someone who exists outside of your reality. Because to your point, if I'm born in the 80s or the 70s, because I don't have any biases towards anyone in the 90s, I can see your reality for what it is. But because you're born into that bubble, the only reality you know is your
your
bubble.
own.
Yeah.
So if I hear someone telling me, in my head for the first time, I'm going to feel as though I'm being attacked.
Yeah.
And the first things that most of us say is, well, you don't know me. And if you're born in the 80s or 70s or 60s, you're like, young man or young woman, yes, I do. I'm literally looking at you, telling you what your problems are.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing and a curse because the younger person will look at that and just say, you're attacking me. It's a blessing because the person that's a little bit more seasoned in life is giving you free knowledge, free information that'll set you apart from the crowd. But that does take humility and the willingness to submit to authority. But on a more internal level, it requires you to accept maybe I'm wrong, and that is absent with people born in present day generation.
Well, here, let me jump in real quick. We're getting at so much good stuff, and I want to unpack all of it. But just sort of to kind of streamline it a little bit here, some things, because again, let's try to figure out what a good topic would be for opening day. And I think we're hitting upon so many, I think, potential opening day topics. Something I did want to bring up, and go deeper into that y'all already touched upon is this idea of like fake friends. And Tiffany, thank you for sharing that story about the band, because you have friends who encourage you to again go on, and maybe even wanting to maintain the companionship beyond certain levels of education compels you to pursue higher education. What instrument did you play, Tiffany, by the way?
French horn for about 11 years.
Oh, right. I played the trombone for. I almost went to school for music.
Yeah, I played at UTA, marched there my freshman year. That was a lot of fun because they have
Awesome.
no football team.
That's super cool.
You guys.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone's like, what do you do? Well, we play for marching band crowds. We do performances for people who actually want to see us, and they're not out getting, a chili cheese dog.
Right on. That's right.
They eat it up, and it was so fun.
Cool. Well, again, I bring that up because it does seem like, a place like high school or college or perhaps even younger is when you begin to make the kinds of friends that are long lasting, because you're reaching a point in your life where you're getting a sense of your own autonomy. You're getting a sense that you're becoming your own person, and that the values you hold and the decisions you make are not necessarily completely determined by, again, your family, whatever the case may be. That you're your own person, and then you get to be able to decide for yourself, with whom do I want to spend my time when I do have time, when I'm not working, when I'm not doing homework. I wonder how the pandemic affected that sort of, I would say, organic process and just establishing long-lasting friendships. And to the point y'all made earlier, does the definition of a real friend change during times of quarantine, during times of, again, basically just virtual hanging out and interacting? Because prior to that, it does seem like, you have your friends on your computer, and maybe I sound really old now. Again, I am 57. You have your friends on your computer, and then you have your real friends in real life. But then when real life sort of became the computer for a while, I think those distinctions blurred in a way that maybe we've never seen before, especially for, people who are in college or starting college and wanting to start not just growing their education, but, growing their friendships in a way that's going to be permanent.
I think it really speaks to, if you think of quarantine as a hardship, I mean, any hardship will make you realize who your true friends are and who they aren't. So, there's an extra level of boundary between you now. So who's going to go the extra mile to stay in touch, to keep that friendship alive? I think it really does shine a light on, who are my real friends and who's just around for convenience or any other superficial purpose.
Good point. But to elaborate on the bigger point, I believe the thing that we're searching for is structure. I believe that we need to have a good foundation, and this is going to be kind of deep. I don't believe in systematic racism, but I believe that there's one thing that the Democratic Party did, well, not Democratic, but just like America did, it incentivized bad behavior. The Lyndon B. Johnson Great Society Act. In 1960, 23% of African Americans grew up with just one parent's household. Now that number is 77. You said earlier that you need an authority figure that's going to tell you, young man, you're doing wrong. That's supposed to be fathers. But when you take fathers out the home and you incentivize bad behavior that leave black male that look like you and I without any fathers, we're going to look for that. And that's when you get involved in ignorant stuff. That's when you try to look for OGs in the hood that's probably been through stuff, that probably tell you stuff that might give you free stuff. You know what I mean? Cause you want that, like you yearn for a father figure, you yearn for structure, you yearn for foundation, and just looking for friends in that, I think, is asking for trouble. That's why I believe. That's why in philosophy class earlier, well, not earlier, but like a week ago, like, I'm a strong proponent of marriage. Like, of course, if the man is abusing you, leave the man and call the police. But I believe in a structure, because I believe as a kid, you need the first authority figure that you talk to should not be the police, should not be a teacher. It should be your dad. Your dad should be the one to tell you, young man, what you doing, bro? It shouldn't be a cop. It shouldn't be a professor. It shouldn't be a teacher. They shouldn't have to be a dad who tells you right from wrong. Your dad should be your dad who tells you right from wrong. And the Great Society Act, it incentivizes bad behavior. And yeah, I didn't mean to go super duper deep right there, but like, yeah, I believe what we're missing is foundation and structure, and that comes from a father figure.
Yeah, I appreciate that reflection. And just to ask you a follow-up question. So if you do lack that structure, it does seem like, so I mean, myself, for example, I grew up without a father, without siblings. I tended to gravitate towards friends, as you say.
Yeah.
And so maybe, again, meditating on this topic of friendship, maybe there are better places to seek out friends because the people involved are going to be better at being friends.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is that you go to a place like a college on campus where you interact, you see people, you see their humanity. You get the impression that I don't know, there's a potential for the kind of structure and relationship that you can develop through friendships here, maybe versus other places, simply because of the fact that people are trying to be friends for reasons that go beyond need or necessity. They're just trying to be friends because they value friendship. And part of that means, being honest and being upfront with you and keeping your word and stuff like that and having your back. Maybe, so I'm curious, do you think that kind of, like, if you could have an arrangement of healthy friendships, would that substitute for the structure that maybe you lacked at home through the father figure or something like that?
Well, great point. I believe, that's why that's why I believe in religious community, because you're all coming together for like a good, and you all come together to serve as like an authority figure. You know what I mean? Because God is supposed to also be an authority figure. So I'm not trying to like convince anyone, but He's an authority figure if you believe in Him, because He's supposed to be your father, whatever. But how But my thing is, my main point is, I believe even when I believe that the path to hell is paved with good intentions. I believe you can run up in serious trouble if you hang out with people who think they're doing the right thing.
I see.
Like communism, they believe that they was doing the right thing. We're just helping out the young man. But communism, everywhere it's been failed, it's been lead to murder, and not just one or two people. It's led to millions of people being murdered, and it all starts with good intentions. Because I believe it's hard to find anyone who doesn't have good intentions, and if they don't have good intentions, they have a good way to trick you into showing you that they have good intentions. And I believe intentions isn't what matter. Action is what matter. I could think I'm right, and because I think I'm right, my action might lead to something else than you do. I believe incentives or what you believe doesn't really matter. It's about your actions. And Jordan Peterson said that what is what you believe? Is what you believe how you feel and how you think, or is what you believe how you actually act? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I believe that there's lots of people in jail or prison. You ask them, they're like, hey, I'm just trying to feed my family, man. I'm just trying to do something good. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to feed my family. That's why I got to serve this or do that, because I'm trying to do something good. I'm trying to leave a better life for my kids. And you be like, okay. But then when you realize what they actually did, you be like, oh, well, that's not really doing it. You know? You know what I mean? So that's why I feel like I feel like intentions are bad. I don't care about intentions. The only time I care about intentions is if it's a capital murder trial, because then we have to see if you have motive and stuff like that. Intentions are not good. I don't care about intentions. I care about your act. I care about how you behave. I care about how you treat people.
Yeah, the results that follow from that. Okay.
Well, there's that great quote that I forget who said it, but it basically says, "Show me how you spend your time, and I'll tell you who you are."
That's a Manzi. Yeah.
That's a Manzi? Oh, okay. I'll write it down.
Can we go back to like the online friends?
Yeah, please.
Topic, right?
Absolutely.
I just want to point out right, how you said about living your own reality, right? I think that's pretty interesting. It might be more psychology than philosophy, right? Like imagine this like an example, right, of like a kid, right? It kind of relates to me a bit though, but not exactly it. Like a kid who plays online video games, right, and meets a group of friends, right, and in that says that hierarchy, right? That kid is like the top dog, right? He has the highest kill death ratio. All those people in that online group see him as like awesome, right?
Call him a Manzi.
Real cool guy, right? Mm-hmm. But then like the other reality, when he goes to school, right, he's just a nerdy kid, right? Like he has bad social skills, right? So there's like that dichotomy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Of like cool guy in this situation right here, right? But like a complete loser in the other.
Who's the real person?
Who's the real person,
Yes.
right? Like, and then kind of like messes like with their head, I guess, right? It's like
sure.
what am I? Like, am I cool or am I not? Like,
I think you're
to these
both.
people I am. And
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that because, again, it gets at this idea of where do I feel the most like myself? Do I feel the most like myself, and again, in the world that I've created in the video game, or do I feel most like myself when I'm doing my obligations, I have to go to school, I got to go to geometry class or whatever, where do you feel the most like you? And I think that begs the question, well, who do you know who you are anyway? Where do you even get a sense of who you are as an individual?
I guess
And-
that's philosophy, right?
Well, no, I think philosophy and psychology are very similar.
Yeah.
Go hand in hand.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. It's at least the interesting philosophical questions, as far as I'm concerned. Clip that, Jack. So yeah, I think getting back to the point about friendship. I mean, I feel as though there are certain friendships that actually show you who you are, and does it necessarily have to be in the flesh? I mean, look, I grew up playing sports. I know you'd never tell by looking at me, but you learn how to sort of develop a sense of who you are based upon how the people around you in that locker room see you as a friend, as somebody who's like not just a teammate, but all that stuff, because you're in competition and the stakes seem high at the time. So you develop bonds that way. Can't you not recreate that same sort of setting in a virtual realm where it's like, okay, well, I don't know, think of like World of I don't know video games. I'm out of my element here.
World of Warcraft?
Yeah, something like that, where you kind of get together with other people and you compete and you win. And if you're part of like a group or whatever, a clan or something, like you hang out with these people all the time virtually.
And then, you don't
yeah.
need you don't feel like you have the need for like real friends, because like they're enough, right? Like they.
Well, I think that's where it gets a little interesting.
That's what.
Yeah,
it gets interesting, right?
Yeah.
I would have to disagree. I mean, we're such social creatures. It's ingrained in us,
No,
and
it is, yeah.
True.
things like touch is so important, like hugs and handshakes and things like that. I'm not saying that virtual relationships are any less valuable, but I don't think that they could fulfill us, socially
I totally agree with
speaking,
that.
by themselves. I think
Doesn't that make
we,
them less valuable?
I think yeah. Like,
I mean, maybe, yeah.
virtual relation. It's just like I don't agree with what I'm saying, right? I'm just saying that like it's easier to get that
Yeah.
I can say dopamine, right? It's easier.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through the effort of like meeting someone in real life and like all that
So,
stuff.
answer me this then. Would you meet someone online and fall in love and marry them without ever seeing them or touching them?
No, absolutely not. No.
So there's
No, that's what
something.
I'm saying though. Like it's
yeah.
easier, but like it's not, because it's easier. It's not like worthwhile. Like when it's not nothing easy is worthwhile, right? So like
Smart.
Yeah.
so that's where like people are in that trap, right? It's like
And I understand. I understand exactly what you're saying completely, because it's so easy. We tend to gravitate toward. What's the law? The law of least
Occam's
resistance.
razor. Oh,
Is that what it
Oh
is?
yeah, at least there's.
See,
Yeah.
you're more likely to choose the pathway that's been carved out, that's significantly easier, and that happens that quick. It's kind of like drive-through, Uber Eats, whatever. But that is 100% the case. And people aren't necessarily choosing because if you really ask them, sit down with them, no TV, no radio, whatever, truly ask them, is this what you really want? 90+%, it doesn't matter what age you are, if they're telling the truth, they're going to say no. Because to your point, like Tiffany said, we are very much social creatures. But the availability of, the smartphone, laptop, tablet, et cetera, and there's communities within there on the internet level. Oh my God, it takes 5 seconds. Oh, look, we can play that video game. Look, there's a chess area. Look, there's people that like taking outdoor pictures. Let me just go there. Boom, 5 seconds, you're done. And then you have access to hundreds, thousands, millions of people, and you all share a common interest. Going back to another point of college campuses or school campuses or institutions in general, one of the reasons why relationships are formed there, or how it is easier for it to be formed there, is we all share a common interest. We're all in this building for a reason. Here on Richland, we're here to get an education. Some people play athletics, some people join clubs. There's going to be a couple avenues where you can share mutual interest in flesh in real time. So therefore, look at all of us for an example. We're in this psychology club. We all share mutual interests. We see some value in it, and we love to converse while we're all having a conversation on the subject. We'll probably have some commonality and share some bond moving forward because of this. For the most part, this interaction will be able to stand the test of time when it comes to fellowship and bond thereafter, compared to a smartphone or a tablet. The smartphone or
great point.
tablet, yes, you may follow up, but in terms of fulfillment, happiness, tangible relationship that you can touch, feel, sense, smell, whatever, it will stand the test of time greater than that of something being done online. One last point, I was reading something in my textbook for my economics class, and it said, I was like, wow, this is, anyways, so it says, online relationships that start and end in marriage, they say that it is 25% more likely for the couple to be happy or happier than a couple that met face to face in real time.
Really?
I looked at that and I immediately Googled it, and I used a couple different sources just to make sure I'm not going crazy. And of course, it said the opposite of that textbook, but but I was just like, I don't think that's the case. I mean, you know, one of the reasons why we have online dating is the fact that people don't know how to be social. When you find that one person who, quote unquote, just gets it, that's what we call it. Man, he just gets it. Man, she just gets it. No, that person has a gift to where when you're around them and when you experience like their aurora vicariously, you're going to be affected by it and go, man, I suddenly want to just do X, or I suddenly want to be a socialist person A, B, or C, right? And we're seeing the absence of those people because now it is the 90s plus 90s and onward generation that's more or less taking over, and Gen Xers going forward are kind of retreating. They're retiring or in positions where they don't really care to have the rah influence. That's one of the problems that I see, but that's what I've seen through observation and my own research, and it's incredible. It's scary, incredible, and we're in a unique part of history. We've never been in this type of position before in our lives, period. It's amazing to be here and be cognizant enough to catch it and record it. I think that's really cool.
A good point. Good point.
Yeah, great points.
And just,
Yeah, go for it.
And just to elaborate on that, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because like back to your point about friends, I believe that the thing that we're missing was not a thing that we're missing. I think the thing that got injected was the postmodernists, because they believe that nothing really matters. The thing that made humans and Americans great is we believe in manifest destiny. Manifest destiny isn't saying that I'm going to be securely secure in my bubble. Manifest destiny states that I'm going to go explore the darkness in the world, and I'm going to, and it might lead to my death. However, death isn't the worst thing that could happen to me. Being disgraced is the worst thing that can happen to me. Being secure is the worst thing that can happen to me. Not fulfilling my forwardness, not fulfilling my true potential. That's the thing that's truly disgraceful. And I believe that's what we're missing. We're missing a sense of calling. We're missing a sense of attraction, not an attraction to danger, but a sense of accepting danger. Because I believe that's what bravery is. Bravery is understanding that the world is evil, that death is near. And not only death is near, the death is certain. Like, there's no way of avoiding death. There's no way of avoiding betrayal. And you ask me, betrayal, what you mean? Your body betrays you.
Yeah.
Your mind betrays you. Life is full of danger, and once you accept that with a smile, and once you accept that, that's how you become brave, and that's how you accept, and that's how you teach others to become brave. And I believe we lost a sense of that as soon as we started believing postmodernist thinking, and thinking that nothing matters.
If I could just interject, devil's advocate for postmodernism. The interesting thing about postmodernism is that, on the one hand, it does say, yeah, perhaps nothing has any inherent value or meaning. But the other side of it is, well, perhaps all meaning comes from people. So I think it's kind of empowering in that sense. It compels you to say, hey, it's really easy to just be, a kid, and you learn, here are the, 10 commandments, here's right, here's wrong, here are the rules. You don't get to decide what they are. You don't get to decide what they mean to you. We're telling you what they are. We're telling you what they should mean to you. Now just do this until you drop dead. That's a little different than postmodernism saying, well, no, maybe there aren't necessarily any universal values at all, which means it's time for you to sort of step up as an adult and decide for yourself what means something to you, what doesn't mean something to you. I think the beauty of postmodernism is that it forces people to actually make decisions and say, well, okay, if nothing does mean anything, well, then I get to decide what is and is not meaningful in my life. I don't care what mom said or dad said or my parish says or whatever my professor says. It's up to me. I'm the be-all, end-all of my own life experience, and that means also what anything means to me.
Smart point. Good point. My only thing is that'll make sense if we just appeared on Earth. If we don't have any track history, the reason
Fair enough.
the reason why I don't believe in postmodernism is because they are universal values. They are universal skills to have. That's why certain oral traditions get passed down because you have to teach people what they don't know. You have to instill values in them that'll help them in the future. Like a kid might not know that eating candy before dinner isn't bad for them. They love candy. You know what I mean? But you have to teach them values. You have to teach them oral tradition, oral communication was here before, like transcripts was here before computers, was here before TV. Oral tradition, passing down laws, passing down stories is how we build values, how we build culture, and then on top of that, it's how we accept authority. Accepting, like you said earlier, that I don't have the answers. Someone has the answers because someone have lived through this. Not only have they lived through this, their ancestors, their generation lived through this, and they understand how to survive this dangerous game called life. When in a split of a second, I could die. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where the divergence could come from. Because I do believe in certain aspects of postmodernism. I believe in free will. I believe you have full control. I believe. Like once again, I'm not trying to convert anyone into Christianity, but I believe God created a chessboard, and we have the capabilities to move pieces. However, so like I believe in postmodernists to that extent. However, to say that there are not universal values, universal skills, universal traits that every man needs in order to be successful, I think is disingenuous.
Hey, yeah, fair point. And just to be clear, I'm not necessarily personally defending postmodernism. I'm just kind of throwing it for the devil's advocate. Mm-hmm. That's the fun thing about this philosophy club is that you can explore these ideas. You don't necessarily have to commit to them. Very good. I appreciated that response a lot. So we are running up on time. We got about 5 minutes left, and there's another program that's supposed to begin at 2. So it went by quick, but we have to start wrapping up already.
Yeah, that was super fun, actually. I had lots of fun.
Come back every Monday. Y'all are welcome every time.
Yes, sir.
I guess I'll just kind of plug again when and the where the Philosophy Club. So the Philosophy Club will be meeting every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. in Netcheese Hall. That's N133. Again, it's just you pop into one particular entrance and you hang a quick right. And that's where we're at. It's a little room. It's easy to miss, but it's a nice space for having a club. It's not like a classroom. It's not going to feel like a classroom. I mean, it's technically a classroom, but it's an unusual one. Okay, that was a great sell. All right, we're also going to be meeting again every Monday right here in KDOX Studios to discuss the topics at hand. All the topics are student generated, so if any students have anything they want to talk about and they want to open it up to all the other students in the club for discussion, we are certainly receptive to that. If you're interested in taking on a leadership role in the Philosophy Club, we're still looking for a few officer positions, so feel free to reach out to me about that. And then, of course, just to sort of put a bow on everything, aside from the weekly meetings, we're going to be doing the Philosophy and Film series once a month. We're going to meet in the old planetarium and watch a movie. I'm going to spring for pizza and soda and probably Jägermeister for myself, and then I'm joking. And then we're going to have a little discussion after we watch the movie. If you have any ideas for films that you think are philosophical, again, bring them to me. Let me know. I'd love to hear them. I'm especially interested in showing films that are new to me, and also maybe they're on Canopy, if you know that app, Knopy, because if they're on there, we don't have to pay for copyright. Other than that, we'll be having an academic conference in November. This is a formal, official conference. If you're interested in, exploring philosophy and also giving yourself a platform to sort of present on something that you like, it doesn't have to be directly from your class. Feel free to start thinking about that because, again, it's the Dallas College student conference for undergrads. We have students from other universities, other 4 years, other campuses that come to Richland to present. It's a lot of fun. You get your 15 minutes up there to talk about what you like. It's a really cool experience. It pads the old academic resume, all that good stuff. And then we'll be having guest speakers periodically throughout the semester as well. So a lot of stuff cooking. Check us out on social media. We've got about 300 followers on Instagram. Search DC Philosophy Club, stands for Dallas College. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. All that good stuff. And, of course, we're on YouTube. We've got over 100 videos. This radio show has been meeting weekly for, again, almost 11 semesters straight, including the summers sometimes. So a lot of content up there, folks. I want to thank, again, the students who came out. I consider you official Philosophy Club members, even if we haven't actually had a meeting yet. And I hope you come to those meetings if you can make it. It'd be great to have you all here. And, of course, Luke, Professor Ulrich, you wouldn't shut up the whole time. It's great to have you here as well, my friends. Yeah, is there? So we'll go around the room. If there's anything else you want to say, just sort of plug yourself again, or if there's any sort of other clubs that you represent that you want to give some shine to, let me know. I can't wait to hear this audio back because this mask with the microphone. You guys want to play a fun game at home? For the 3 people that watch this, every time my mask hits the microphone, go ahead and count that because it happens about 9,000 times. All right. So yeah, we'll take it all the way down there from mic 5, I believe it was.
I can't add anything right now, but when you said 9,000, it gave me a reference, and I think most people know what that means.
One Piece.
For the record, I don't know what that means.
Dragon Ball Z, power rank over 9,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Shout out Dragon Ball Z.
That's right. Copyright. All right, that's all no, but it was fun. I love this. This is really fun.
Hey, I'm glad.
Having the chance to talk on this level, it's great. It's necessary, and it's only going to get better. I'm excited, honestly. Let's go.
Yeah, y'all are so comfortable. That's what's so surprising to me. Usually students come in here and they're intimidated and they don't know what to do. They're a lot like your professor. But actually, you guys have been very... I'm just trying to open you up.
I'm just good at hiding it, really.
Well, I mean, I think that comfort's only going to benefit us moving forward. So, yeah, it's great to have you all here. We're going to have some really awesome conversations.
Okay. Yeah, before we close it out,
Sure.
One of the most, the most intellectual, well, not the most intellectual, the person who has the most intellect, in my opinion, that one of the readers that I listen to every word is Thomas Sowell, and he has a very important quote: "There are no solutions, just trade-offs." So if you want something, you have to give something. And as a closing remark, if any politician promises you something, he can not only take that away, but he can take away something else. There are no solutions, only trade-offs.
Same goes for your professors. I'm joking. All right. Well, that's thought-provoking. So we have... Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Tiffany.
Yeah, I just want to say this is really interesting, and I hope to be more of a part of it going forward. And it's also really cool to be the only woman in the room, but we need more. So
Yeah,
come out, ladies. Come
Absolutely.
join me, and we'll fight the patriarchy together.
All right, y'all. And again, we have a catchphrase here. It goes all the way back to semester 1, where we say, at the count of 3, everybody says, think about it, because that's what philosophers do. They think about it. So that's how we're going to close. At the count of 3, you ready? And a 1, and a 2, and a... Think about it!
Are we supposed to hold it?
All right, we're good, folks.